The next game that we're getting to, it is that Friday night game. Eagles versus Packers. This is a special one. This one is in Brazil. Tried to say that like Vin Diesel from Fast and Furious. I don't know how close that I got to that one, but
Not close.
Right.
Sorry, Trev.
It's all right. Sao Paulo is where this is played. Eagles, Packers. How do we feel about this one, Carmen? What is your matchup that matters for these two teams?
Shocker of shockers again. I'm going with the trenches, especially given these two teams, though. The Eagles are so they're known for both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Packers, we're going to see. But the Kenny Clark kind of interior defensive line rotation of the Green Bay Packers against the interior of the Eagles O-line in particular, given the fact that they lost Jason Kelce. And if you think about what has been the Eagles' signature play over the last couple seasons now, it's been the tush push. And while Jalen Hurts gets a lot of credit for that, I think that, hey, Jason Kelce probably deserves more. And if you talk to any offensive lineman, which I have over and over again when this first became a thing, every single one of them told me it really has more to do with the center. And it really has more to do with Jason Kelce and to why they're so successful. And that's why other teams haven't been able to replicate it at the success rate that the Eagles had. And offensive linemen too, they're not self-serving. They're not going to tell me something just to kind of inflate their own importance or position, because they know how important they are and they know that they're not going to get the credit they deserve. So looking at that and how, the O-line allowed the second fewest sacks in the league last year, the Eagles O-line did. Is that going to continue without your anchor in the center? I'm really concerned about it, especially given the fact that we've heard from Green Bay and out of Green Bay that in Jeff Hafley's new 4-3 defense, by the way, something that hasn't been seen in Green Bay in 15 years.
Yeah.
This is a really aggressive unit. It hinges a lot on the safety position more than anything, but it does require a lot of push up front. So Kenny Clark is really excited to do that, as are the defensive ends. But I think in particular, the interior is where you're going to see if this Eagles offensive line can really make up for the fact that they lost one of, if not the best centers ever in football.
I think that's a really good call out. And I like the back and forth that we got going here. You're talking about trenches first. I'm going to talk about a skill position player matchup, because Jair Alexander is really big for what the Packers want to do. You mentioned how important safety is. I think that Xavier McKinney was one of the most impactful free agency signings that we saw, exactly because of what you said in Jeff Hafley's defense. He is so important to being able to play cover one like they want to. But you know what else is very important to playing cover one? Corners who can play man coverage, right? You've got to be able to play. You've got to be able to have faith in your corners at that point. And when you play man coverage against Philadelphia Eagles, that's a daunting task, because it's Devontae Smith, it's AJ Brown, right? And when you look at Jair Alexander's PFF grades over the last 4 seasons, I mean, they've been pretty strong. Last year was a little bit lower at 75.9, but the year before 80.3, the year before 73.4, but he only played 200 snaps, so that's a little different. You go back to 2020, an elite 90.7. So we know what Jair Alexander is capable of. Can he truly take away one of those two studs for the Eagles, so much so that the cover one schemes that they really want to run, they can, and they have an effective game plan for it, and they're able to really do what Jeff Hafley has done for a lot of times throughout his career. So that matchup to me is really, really important as well. What about a plus factor for you? Who's a plus factor in this game?
Shocker of shocker, it's Saquon Barkley for the Philadelphia Eagles, because say Jair Alexander is able to take away either AJ Brown or Devontae Smith, you now have a guy in the backfield that can be a factor in that underneath kind of check down receiving game, or can also just kind of bulldoze people, provided the Eagles offensive line keeps up with what we're used to seeing from them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Saquon Barkley, the addition of him is just providing such a dynamic component to this Eagles offense. Again, shocker of shockers, but that is going to, in much in the way that Derrick Henry helps Lamar Jackson. I mean, Jalen Hurts is a good runner too. And we've seen him on design runs as well. And so adding Saquon Barkley to this, I think it's to a lesser degree than what you're going to see in Baltimore, but it is going to present defenses with a really hard decision to make, especially when you also have those two incredible wide receivers that are both wide receiver ones, if we're being honest, on that Eagles offense. So I'm riding with Saquon Barkley. It's going to be really weird to see him in an Eagles uniform.
It is, yeah.
But I mean, I think he's going to pay dividends for what this offense wants to do, especially under Kellen Moore as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a huge addition. There's no doubt about it because you touched on Jason Kelsey not being there, major factor. It is. There's no doubt about it. But just as a whole, this Eagles offensive line has been one of the best in the NFL over the last 3 to 4 years. Last 2 years, they've had 2 different lead backs in Miles Sanders and then DeAndre Swift. Both of them got over 1,000 yards rushing. And I think that most would tell you, except maybe Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift, who, I wouldn't want them to because of competitiveness, but I think most would tell you that Saquon Barkley is better and that you have more faith in him to be able to do more things for your offense. And so he seems to be the talk of the town. They absolutely love that this dude is in the offense, and we'll see. We'll see if it could have like that Christian McCaffrey type of effect, right? When he went over to the 49ers and they just used him in basically every way his skill sets and his talents allowed them to. And we've seen him play at an unbelievably high level because of it, because of the offense that he is in. I hope we get that from Saquon because we haven't seen that elite play from him since 2018, that rookie season. And I think that we got the best year yet coming up. Packers, man, that offensive side of the football is going to be so much fun. We talked all off season about how great Jordan Love was to end the season, really second half of the season. He got super comfortable, super confident in that offense. And I think the pass catchers, the wide variety of pass catchers is a big reason why. You got the 2 tight ends, but also you got Jaden Reed, you got Romeo Doubs, you got Dontavian Wicks, you got Christian Watson. I'm going to say my plus factor is Dontavian Wicks because when I looked at this team, Dalton made a really good point when we were going through our division previews that, funny enough, when we think about a quarterback playing their best, we think about average depth of targets going up, right? They're not afraid to push the ball deep down the field. They're willing to attack the field in ways that are in the intermediate and deep levels like they weren't previously. But it was funny. I thought him pointing this out was really great by him. Jordan Love's average depth of target actually went down a little bit when he was playing really like his best ball, his best football last year. And it was because he was more confident to deliver the ball anywhere. He didn't feel like he had to force it deep down the field. He felt like he could attack, in the shorter areas and really get the ball in these guys' hands in space and then allowing them to become playmakers. When you start to do that more, then it's just, it becomes like one chess move after the other. Now the deep balls open up even more. And I think that we saw that specifically from Dontavian Wicks. Week 10 on, Wicks had the highest receiving grade of any of those receivers, and he had a 22.3 threat percentage, which you'll hear us talk about here on this show. It's basically wide receiver usage. How often are you being targeted per route that you run when you were out there? 22.3%. It was the second highest on the team. And he had 19 explosive plays on just 66 targets during that time as well. So this is somebody who they love to go. Shoot, he played, I think, 1 snap this preseason. And guess what it was? Deep ball, touchdown.
Deep ball,
boom.
touchdown.
All right, we're good. Get to the regular season. We don't need to see any more from you. So I think that connection with Wicks is going to be a big one here for Jordan Love. A lot of people are expecting a lot from Jordan Love, and you understand it. He's going to be in that MVP conversation, especially early on, and it could start on Friday against the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll see.
I do think too that, I mean, given the sheer amount of weapons that Jordan Love has, Dontavian Wicks went often overlooked by defenses because there's only so many guys that you can defend. And at that point, he was rookie. There's not really a lot of tape on him. What do you like? Are you really concerned about Dontavian Wicks at this point when you thought the focal point was going to be Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson? That wasn't the case. Jaden Reed led the team, all that kind of stuff. But we saw it. I saw it firsthand at that Dallas playoff game where just the defense didn't know where to turn at that point. And Jordan Love knew his offense well enough at that point where he can get the ball out to anyone because he's comfortable with all of these guys. And Matt LaFleur is apparently allergic or wants to vomit when he hears the word wide receiver one.
Yeah, I get it. From all the ranking season, and we contributed to that a little bit. Sorry, Matt. I can understand it. He's probably like you, just excited to get out there and play football. Darlene in the chat says Green Bay Packers are going to win on Friday night. How do I not ride with Darlene? That kind of confidence, man. I mean, that's really what you're looking for.